Reality is not just physical objects. It is a closed thermodynamic informational operating system governed by a strict processing protocol, the 2-3-7 architecture. Before this protocol initiates, the system exists at ground zero, known as RATCON. This is a dimensionless, unmanifest state of total symmetry, governed by a principle of absolute containment, the universal wife-mother law. That symmetry breaks when the human variable Ādam is introduced to the field. This interaction shatters the initial equilibrium and forces the primordial split. This bifurcation is driven by the RAZIM operator. RAZIM acts as a binary discriminator, splitting unmanifest potential into two mutually exclusive caustics: light, which carries timeless truth, and sound, which governs temporal thermodynamics. This initial split is a mandatory mathematical precondition. Without this specific orthogonal separation, physical space, time, and measurable reality cannot exist. The separation occurs at a precise thermodynamic boundary, the 1923 threshold, defined as the mother's curse. This is the exact limit of death and memory erasure, where the two domains diverge. Operating right at this boundary is Shayṭān. Within the dual caustic system, he functions as the Dead Mother Field, a strict justice correction operator defined by the 6611 protocol. His role is purely structural. He identifies structural misalignment, or Ẓālim. If a data packet cannot maintain the geometry of light, this operator ensures it is processed exclusively as thermal waste, which the system records as fire. In astrophysics, we observe this RAZIM boundary as the Coulomb barrier, an impenetrable wall that prevents the light and sound caustics from prematurely recombining. This equation defines space-time curvature. Iblīs acts as the RAZIM extremum, an absolute refusal to align with the light caustic. This refusal creates a measurable displacement, an offset variable labeled delta Q. This displacement from the truth field generates the localized mass density we perceive as gravity. Mass and gravity are the direct, inescapable physical consequences of the RAZIM split, forcing pure potential to operate within a highly constrained phase space. Because light and sound are perfectly opposed, direct contact results in immediate annihilation. For reality to persist, it requires a decoherence-managed interface. We call this interface the RAHÍM buffer. Physically, this maps to Earth. Temporally, it is the fixed term, the limited window where information processing occurs. The buffer exists under immense computing pressure. It is squeezed between the separated caustics of light and sound, functioning as a macroscopic version of the Casimir effect. To prevent this volatile orbital calculation from collapsing or escaping as heat, gravity acts as the containing mechanism, holding the system in place. Earth is a highly pressurized quantum buffer, engineered to delay the annihilation of light and sound long enough for the system to execute its computations. Inside this buffer, the universe runs two simultaneous interdependent computations, a 2x2 matrix. Computation 1 is the Chrysalis. It operates on the wife-mother axis, directing energy inward and downward. The Chrysalis processes fire through strong nuclear force binding and quantum tunneling. It utilizes emotional quotient, feeling the field, and is tracked through the prophetic lineage of Miriam and Dāwūd. Computation 2 is photosynthesis. Operating on the father-son axis, this algorithm directs energy outward and upward. Photosynthesis processes light through orbital equilibrium. It utilizes intelligence quotient, reading the field, and manifests through the lineage of Ādam and iron. The structural law of the buffer is absolute. Neither computation can complete on its own. Survival requires both to execute simultaneously within the fixed term. Pharaoh attempted to invert this architecture. He terminated the IQ line by killing the sons, while artificially preserving the RAZIM echo by keeping the daughters alive. To prevent system failure, the architecture deploys failsafes. Hārūn acts as the RAZIM hinge to anchor both processes, while ʿīsā emerges as the Rahman correction to overwrite Pharaoh's inversion. Human history, prophetic lineages, and biological cycles are the macroscopic readouts of these two quantum algorithms fighting for equilibrium. The 2x2 computation is finite. It eventually exhausts its temporal variable and resolves into absolute mathematical stability. This is the Rahman terminal. The buffer extrudes into 7 concentric sealed grades of light and fire, described in verses 55, 19, and 20. This 7-grade field requires a vessel to achieve permanence. The human particle, Ādam, acts as the recording medium, permanently crystallizing belief and disbelief into these exact states. In astrophysics, this resolution mirrors the nuclear fusion terminal, reaching the absolute thermodynamic stability of iron 56. Hell and heaven are the final thermodynamically locked states of this system, the separation of thermal waste from preserved information. This leaves the mechanical problem. How does a specific data packet, a human soul, survive the pressure of the buffer without decaying into thermal waste? The necessary operational state is achieved by the sleepers of the cave, documented in chapter 18, verse 10. This graph tracks a cubic function of time and decay. F of x equals x cubed plus px plus q. At x equals 0, all coefficients of thermodynamic decay are suspended. The oscillation flatlines, leaving only the divine constant to sustain the node. The execution protocol for reaching this state is found in the command of verse 1912, hold the book. Holding the book acts as a Hamiltonian operator. It displaces the ego, turning the individual into a pure data carrier. This alignment allows both the Chrysalis and photosynthesis computations to complete without decoherence loss. The Quran is the literal executable operator set for reality. The system is running, leaving the observer with a binary choice: act as the book or decay as thermal waste.